Welcome to my channel. Imagine waking up one morning believing that the very substance keeping your body alive is secretly trying to kill you. For years, millions of people have been told one simple story. Cholesterol is dangerous. Cholesterol blocks your arteries. Cholesterol causes heart attacks. So people became afraid of eggs, butter, cheese, and every natural fat that appeared on their plates. Supermarkets filled with low fat products, sugar packed snacks labeled healthy, and processed foods pretending to protect the heart. But what if the story was incomplete? What if cholesterol itself was never the true villain? What if the real danger was the modern lifestyle slowly pushing the human body into imbalance every single day? Most people imagine cholesterol like dirty grease floating through blood vessels, sticking to artery walls like oil trapped inside an old pipe. They think the healthiest body would contain almost no cholesterol at all. But the truth is far more complex and far more important. Your body actually depends on cholesterol to survive. Every cell membrane in your body uses cholesterol. Your brain relies on it. Your hormones are built from it. Vitamin D production involves it. Even your body's repair systems use cholesterol as part of their work. Without cholesterol, your body could not function normally. So the real question is not how to destroy cholesterol completely. The real question is how to keep balance inside the body so cholesterol can do its job without becoming part of a dangerous process. To understand this, we must travel far into the past, long before fast food, delivery apps, processed snacks, and supermarket shelves. Early humans lived in a completely different world. Food was not entertainment. Food was survival. People hunted animals, gathered roots, fruits, nuts, seeds, and wild plants. There were no sugary drinks, no factory made desserts, no refined vegetable oils, no white flour covering every meal. Movement was automatic because survival demanded it. Humans walked long distances, climbed, carried, lifted, and searched for food every day. Sitting for endless hours barely existed. The human body evolved in that environment for thousands of years. Now, compare that ancient world to modern life. Today, many people spend most of the day sitting. They wake up and sit for breakfast, sit in cars, sit at work, sit while scrolling through phones, and finally lie down exhausted after barely moving at all. At the same time, modern food became engineered for pleasure instead of nourishment. Highly processed snacks filled with sugar, additives, and refined carbohydrates are available everywhere at every moment. Companies removed natural fat from foods and replaced it with sweeteners, chemicals, and artificial ingredients while convincing people the products were healthy simply because they were low fat. The result was a strange disaster. People feared natural foods while consuming more sugar and processed ingredients than ever before. Heart disease, obesity, diabetes, fatty liver disease, and metabolic problems continued rising, yet cholesterol alone kept receiving most of the blame. This does not mean cholesterol plays no role in heart disease. It absolutely does. But cholesterol is only one piece of a much larger puzzle involving inflammation, stress, blood sugar, physical activity, smoking, sleep, and overall lifestyle. To understand why cholesterol became misunderstood, you first need to understand what it actually is. Cholesterol is a waxy fat, like substance produced mainly by the liver. Your body naturally creates most of the cholesterol it needs because cholesterol is essential for life itself. Some cholesterol also comes from foods like eggs, meat, and dairy products. But cholesterol does not simply float around freely in the bloodstream. It travels inside special transport systems called lipoproteins. The two most famous are LDL and HDL. Many people call LDL bad cholesterol and HDL good cholesterol, but that description is oversimplified. LDL and HDL are not different kinds of cholesterol. They are transport vehicles carrying cholesterol through the body. LDL delivers cholesterol from the liver to tissues that need it. HDL helps transport extra cholesterol back to the liver for recycling and removal. The problem begins when too much LDL exists alongside damaged blood vessels, chronic inflammation, poor diet, smoking, or metabolic disease. Under those conditions, LDL particles can enter artery walls, become oxidized, trigger inflammation, and slowly contribute to plaque formation over many years. That process can narrow arteries, reduce blood flow, and eventually lead to heart attacks or strokes. Yet, balance matters more than fear. Your body still needs cholesterol for repair, hormone production, and healthy cell function. The goal is not eliminating LDL completely, but creating conditions where cholesterol can work normally without becoming trapped inside damaged arteries. In the next part, we will explore how lifestyle and modern habits influence cholesterol levels and why understanding that connection may change the way you think about food and movement. In today's world, the story of cholesterol cannot be understood without looking at how dramatically human life has changed in just a few generations, because what once was a natural balance between food, movement, and survival has now turned into a constant state of excess, comfort, and inactivity that quietly shapes the way cholesterol behaves inside the body. When people hear the word cholesterol, they often imagine something static, like a number on a lab report. But in reality, cholesterol is part of a living system that responds directly to what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, and even how you handle stress on a daily basis. In ancient environments, humans experienced long periods of physical activity just to find food. And that natural movement helped regulate energy use, blood fats, and overall metabolism without conscious effort. Today, however, most people spend hours sitting with very little physical demand on the body, which changes how fats and sugars are processed, often leading to higher triglycerides, lower HDL levels, and patterns that increase cardiovascular risk over time. At the same time, the modern diet introduced something completely new to human biology: a constant flow of refined carbohydrates, added sugars, and ultra processed foods that did not exist in natural environments. These foods are designed to be quickly consumed and highly rewarding, but they often lack fiber, nutrients, and the natural balance found in whole foods. When the body is repeatedly exposed to high sugar intake, insulin levels remain elevated more frequently, which over time can lead to insulin resistance, fat accumulation around organs like the liver, and a metabolic environment that influences how cholesterol is produced and transported. In this state, LDL particles can become smaller and denser, and while LDL itself is not inherently harmful, these changes in particle structure combined with inflammation can increase the likelihood of cholesterol contributing to plaque formation inside arteries. This is why modern heart disease cannot be explained by cholesterol alone, because cholesterol behaves differently depending on the environment it exists in. At the same time, lifestyle choices such as smoking, chronic stress, and lack of sleep add further strain to the cardiovascular system, increasing inflammation and damaging blood vessels, which again affects how cholesterol interacts with arterial walls. Interestingly, many decades ago, the global message about fat and health became oversimplified, leading people to believe that all dietary fat was harmful and should be avoided at all costs. This created a massive shift in the food industry where natural fats were removed from products and replaced with sugar and refined carbohydrates to maintain taste. Low fat yogurts, snacks, and processed foods became extremely popular, but in many cases, they were not healthier because removing fat often meant increasing sugar content, which had its own negative metabolic effects. As a result, people consumed less natural fat but significantly more processed carbohydrates, which contributed to rising obesity and metabolic disorders even while cholesterol remained the main focus of concern. However, cholesterol itself is not an enemy molecule floating in isolation, because the body produces most of it internally through the liver, adjusting production based on dietary intake and biological needs. When you consume more cholesterol from food, the liver often compensates by producing less, although individual responses vary depending on genetics and metabolic health. This feedback system shows that cholesterol is tightly regulated rather than simply accumulating uncontrollably from food alone. Another important factor in understanding cholesterol is the role of HDL, which helps transport excess cholesterol away from tissues and back to the liver for processing. HDL is often described as protective, but even here the reality is more complex because simply increasing HDL levels artificially does not automatically guarantee better heart health if other risk factors like inflammation or poor diet remain unchanged. Instead, HDL functions best as part of a balanced system where overall metabolic health is stable and blood vessels are not constantly under stress. This is why focusing only on cholesterol numbers without considering the broader lifestyle picture can lead to incomplete conclusions. Modern research increasingly shows that cardiovascular risk is shaped by multiple interconnected factors, including diet quality, physical activity, body weight distribution, blood pressure, blood sugar control, genetics, and long term inflammation. Cholesterol is involved in this system, but it is not the sole driver of disease. Understanding this broader picture helps shift the mindset from fear based thinking to a more balanced and realistic approach where the goal is not to eliminate cholesterol, but to support the body so it can manage cholesterol effectively. In the next part, we will explore how specific lifestyle changes, especially in diet and movement, can reshape cholesterol behavior and reduce risk in a natural and sustainable way. In today's world, the story of cholesterol cannot be understood without looking at how dramatically human life has changed in just a few generations. Because what once was a natural balance between food, movement, and survival has now turned into a constant state of excess, comfort, and inactivity that quietly shapes the way cholesterol behaves inside the body. And when you understand this connection clearly, you begin to see that food is not just fuel for energy, but information that constantly tells your liver how much cholesterol to produce, how to package it, and how to transport it through the bloodstream, depending on what conditions it is exposed to on a regular basis. When the modern diet is dominated by refined carbohydrates, sugary drinks, and ultra processed foods, the body experiences repeated spikes in blood sugar that trigger high insulin responses, and over time, this pattern can lead to insulin resistance, which changes how fat is stored and how cholesterol particles behave in circulation. In contrast, when the diet is built around whole foods such as vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, fish, and minimally processed proteins, the body receives fiber, micronutrients, and slower digesting energy that supports more stable blood sugar levels and a healthier lipid profile. This does not mean that specific foods like eggs or natural fats are inherently harmful, because for most people, the overall pattern of eating matters far more than any single ingredient, and many traditional diets around the world have included animal products and natural fats without the same levels of cardiovascular disease seen today in highly industrialized societies. Movement is another major factor that directly influences cholesterol balance because physical activity helps increase HDL levels, reduce triglycerides, improve insulin sensitivity, and support healthy blood vessel function, while also reducing the accumulation of visceral fat around organs, which is strongly linked to metabolic disease. Even simple activities like walking regularly, taking stairs instead of elevators, and breaking long periods of sitting can have meaningful effects on cardiovascular health when done consistently over time. The human body is designed for motion, and when it remains inactive for long periods, Metabolic processes slow down, circulation becomes less efficient, and the balance between different types of lipoproteins can shift in ways that increase long term risk. The problem continues from here. Sleep and stress are often ignored in discussions about cholesterol, yet they play a crucial role in regulating hormones, inflammation, and metabolic stability. Because chronic stress can elevate cortisol levels, which may influence appetite, fat storage, and blood sugar regulation, while poor sleep can disrupt insulin sensitivity and increase cravings for high calorie foods that further worsen metabolic balance. Smoking and alcohol consumption also add additional strain on blood vessels, increasing oxidative stress and damaging the inner lining of arteries, which makes it easier for LDL particles to become trapped and contribute to plaque formation. When all of these factors are combined, diet, movement, sleep, stress, and lifestyle habits they create, the environment in which cholesterol either functions normally as a necessary biological component or becomes part of a disease process over many years. This is why focusing only on lowering a single number without addressing the surrounding lifestyle often leads to incomplete or temporary results, because the underlying system that produces those numbers has not been fully improved. Instead, a more effective approach is to view cholesterol as a messenger that reflects the state of the body rather than an isolated enemy that must be eliminated at all costs. And when you adopt this perspective, you begin to focus more on long term habits rather than short term fear based decisions. In the next part, we will bring everything together and look at how a balanced understanding of cholesterol can help you make practical decisions that support heart health without unnecessary fear or confusion. To truly improve health, it is important to focus on consistency rather than perfection, because small daily choices accumulate into major long term outcomes that shape the way your body manages cholesterol and overall metabolic function over time. A balanced lifestyle does not require extreme diets or complicated rules, but instead relies on simple, sustainable habits such as eating whole foods regularly, staying physically active, managing stress, getting enough sleep, and avoiding harmful behaviors like smoking or excessive processed food intake. When these habits are combined, the body gradually returns to a more stable internal environment where cholesterol can perform its natural functions without contributing to disease pathways unnecessarily. This understanding helps remove fear and replaces it with clarity, allowing individuals to make informed choices about their health rather than reacting to simplified messages that do not reflect the full biological reality of cholesterol and human health systems overall, and support long term heart health in a natural and sustainable way that aligns with human biology rather than fear based thinking, while encouraging daily balance practice. At this point, when we bring all the pieces together, the story of cholesterol becomes less about fear and more about understanding how a complex living system responds to everyday choices, because your body is not simply reacting to one food or one number on a report, but constantly adapting to patterns that build up over months and years. Over time, cholesterol levels, blood vessel health, inflammation, and metabolism are all shaped together by the environment you create through lifestyle. When people focus only on fear, they tend to isolate cholesterol as the enemy. But when you look deeper, you see that cholesterol is responding to signals coming from diet, movement, sleep, and stress. This shift in understanding is important because it moves you away from extreme thinking and toward a more balanced view where health is built through consistency rather than perfection. In practical terms, this means choosing foods that are closer to their natural form, reducing ultra processed products, and focusing on meals that support steady energy rather than constant spikes in blood sugar. At the same time, adding regular movement into daily life, even something as simple as walking, can significantly improve how your body handles cholesterol and fat metabolism. Sleep and stress management also play a powerful role because when the body is under constant stress or lacks proper rest, hormonal balance shifts in ways that can negatively affect cardiovascular health. Instead of chasing perfect numbers, the focus should be on building sustainable habits that naturally bring those numbers into a healthier range over time. Medical support, including medications when necessary, should be seen as a tool rather than a failure, because in some cases, genetics or existing conditions require additional help. The most important shift is mental, moving from fear and confusion to awareness and control, where you understand that cholesterol is part of a larger system rather than a single cause of disease. When this awareness grows, people begin to make calmer decisions about food and lifestyle, and long term health becomes a natural outcome rather than a constant struggle. Ultimately, cholesterol should be viewed not as an enemy to be eliminated, but as a vital substance that reflects the state of your internal environment. When the internal environment is balanced through good nutrition, movement, rest, and stress control, cholesterol naturally performs its role without creating harm. This understanding allows you to move away from fear based thinking and toward a more informed and empowered approach to health. Instead of obsessing over a single cholesterol number, you begin to look at patterns in your life such as daily activity, food quality, sleep consistency, and emotional well being. These patterns are far more powerful predictors of long term heart health than any isolated reading on a lab report. Over time, small, consistent improvements in these areas create a cumulative effect that significantly lowers risk and improves overall well being without extreme diets or complicated rules. The body responds best to balance, not extremes, and cholesterol levels often reflect whether that balance is present or missing in daily life. When you treat health as a long term process rather than a quick fix, you start making decisions that are easier to maintain and more effective over time. This perspective reduces anxiety around food choices and helps you build a healthier relationship with eating and lifestyle habits overall. It also encourages responsibility without fear, allowing you to take control of your health decisions in a realistic and sustainable way. Over time, this shift can transform not just your cholesterol levels, but your entire approach to health and well being. And when that transformation happens, health stops feeling like a constant battle and starts feeling like a natural state supported by everyday actions. This is the real message behind cholesterol science when it is understood correctly, not as fear, but as awareness of how your body truly works. Ultimately, when you understand cholesterol as part of a living system, you stop reacting with fear and start responding with knowledge that your daily choices matter more than any single number on a report, and that balance is built slowly through consistent habits that support your heart, your brain, your hormones, and your overall well being in ways that accumulate over time rather than overnight fixes or extreme interventions. And this understanding brings clarity, calmness, and direction to your health journey, helping you see cholesterol not as an enemy, but as a signal from your body that reflects how you are living each day and encouraging you to build habits that naturally restore balance rather than create fear or confusion. Because in the end, health is not about perfection, but about direction. And every small step toward balance matters in the long run for your life and well being. Overall, thank you for watching always.